A new biography about King Charles is set to be released this week, and leaks from the book already have people hooked. Apparently, officials have been making some observations that we've made on this program by joking that Prince Harry is being held as Meghan's hostage and that he's suffering from Stockholm syndrome. And the book also contains some more sombre revelations, including the late Queen Elizabeth's feelings about seeing her grandson lash out against the monarchy. Joining me now is one of our favourite royal commentators, Kinsey Schofield. Kinsey, I want to start with this hilarious story. Apparently, palace officials have been trying their hardest to strip Harry of his titles, but Charles has been denying them the opportunity. Why would he be standing in their way? I mean, surely it's the least that Prince Harry deserves.
I mean, yeah, can you blame them? According to Robert Jobson's book, it's Charles's enduring love, Rita. How sweet is that? But yes, this is being discussed at the highest level. And you know that this is going to continue to be discussed because on the horizon, we have Meghan Markle's book, not to mention the fact that here in Los Angeles, she has already started filming season 2 of her podcast, Archetypes. So is there more, vitriol coming towards the royal family? Only time will tell. So, we've got palace officials at the highest level discussing stripping Prince Harry. That conversation will not end anytime soon, as it feels like, the grenades have not stopped being launched towards the royal family.
Well, and I think it would be a largely popular move, which is an incredible thing to say, given Harry was the most popular royal along with the Queen for the longest time, but the public opinion against him has turned dramatically, and his approval numbers are not looking good. I mean, only Meghan and Prince Andrew are worse than his. He's right down the bottom now with those three. So stripping him of his titles, I think the public would be quite happy with. Now, the truth has also been revealed about the royal walkabout that the so-called Fab Four embarked on after the death of the Queen. While it seemed to outsiders a sign that the princes had finally reconciled, it now seems the royals had very different feelings at the time. Royal insiders have claimed that Princess Kate said it was the hardest thing she's ever had to do. This walkabout came before the book, but the so-called War of the Windsors has been raging for a long time, hasn't it?
That's right. It was described as an illusion. Remember how friendly they all looked and how calm and at peace they looked? And Rita, I mean, Meghan Markle is supposed to be the actress, but Kate, now we're finding out that this was the hardest day of her life. You can't see it on her face. You can't see it in her body language. Look at how stoic and strong she is there. And actually, I thought Meghan looked incredibly uncomfortable and like she wanted to be anywhere but there that day. But yes, Kate saying that it was all an illusion. It was one of the hardest days of her life because there are such ill feelings still between the Fab Four.
Yes, and Kate was also very close to the Queen. So for her, obviously that day would have been extraordinarily difficult because she's mourning the passing of someone who she was very close to, whilst Meghan and the Queen really never had much of a relationship. Now, there's also a book that's exposing Queen Elizabeth's true feelings towards the Sussexes. She apparently thought Harry's devotion to Meghan was quote, clouding his judgment, according to this book, and she called the behaviour of the couple quite mad. Again, I don't think too many will disagree with that, Kinsey.
No, and it's interesting to hear these kinds of sentences coming from the Queen, because I don't know if you remember in Tom Bower's book where he mentioned that the Queen was relieved. I think she said, thank goodness, over the fact that Meghan wasn't going to attend Prince Philip's funeral. So to hear these conversations kind of stack up, it gives you confidence in their legitimacy. Quite mad. She also said that Harry was so consumed in love with Meghan, as if it, made her nervous, that, it was clouding his judgment. And again, Rita, I've watched you for quite some time. You have almost said word for word the exact same thing. So funny that all of this is coming full circle now.
Yes. And I've also had plenty to say about King Charles. I think all the focus on Harry and Meghan has taken attention away from King Charles and his own worldview, his own activism, which we were told he was going to step away from now that he's king. But he's reportedly at odds now with the higher-ups in the Church of England over his demands for other faiths to play a big role in his coronation. The coronation is an Anglican ceremony and a constitutional event. How's Charles's request for other faiths to have a substantial role, not just a minor role on the day? How's that playing out?
You know, it's not playing out very well. This risks, clashing with the canon law, which says that, Muslim faith leaders, Jewish faith leaders, specific faith leaders can't contribute to a coronation because this is a constitutional event and this is a Christian event. I don't know if you remember 20 years ago, Charles was talking about how he wanted to be the defender of faiths, not defender of the faith. I think that Charles is so desperate to be liked by everyone, or it's almost like when a new boss takes over a high-profile job or a high-profile business and is so desperate to make their mark that they end up kind of throwing things off kilter in its ego. I don't know if that's what this is, but it's not a good look. I honestly feel like he needs to sit back. And I think he needs to tiptoe because there is pushback about the monarchy right now, and there is pushback about King Charles. You've got all of this talk about reparations and slavery. You've got people angry that Camilla, Queen Consort, is going to be the queen. I do think that he needs to be delicate and tread lightly.
Yes, absolutely. And he needs to keep in check his own activism because we know he's a global warming crusader. He has got some very funny ideas about the Middle East, if you can believe some of his earlier writings. And I think it would just be best if he follows the Queen's example and behaves completely apolitically. We shouldn't know what his point of view is on any issue. That's not his role. Now, let's end on a cute note and have a look at this footage from the Aston Villa soccer match, which Prince William took Prince George to. And you can see them having the same expressions throughout the game, grabbing their faces, smiling at the same time. It's just a beautiful little insight into the father-son relationship.
It is precious.
I've got to say, the youngest royals are by far and away my favourite. Prince George and particularly Prince Louis. I mean, I would just make him king today if I could.
No, I completely agree with you. And while I do see a lot of Middleton blood in those babies, that DNA is strong. Specifically with George, I see a lot of Princess Diana, which I just can't help but love because it reminds me of little William. Beautiful, happy babies, carefree. I think they are going to be so kind. I don't think you see the spare drama in that pack at all. I think they're going to be so beautiful and kind and such good leaders thanks to their mom and dad.
Well, let's hope so, because Harry was the happy-go-lucky young prince as well for the longest time. And look at him now. I could not find a more miserable redhead anywhere in the world. Kinsey Schofield, thank you so much for joining me today.